Hi, welcome to another Canto Roboflow training movie. This is actually the second part of two movies. In the first part we discussed watch categories. In other words, how can I process categories when the category is a starting point, the result of a query or of a Roboflow category trigger. In this second movie, we will talk about how to process categories if the starting point is something else. In this example, I will work with a hot collection workflow, a workflow that finds records, and based on those records, will process some categories. So if we look inside the workflow, first of all, I've set up a query. I'm just finding some categories, and then these categories are processed one by one. To get to the, I'm processing some records, and the records are processed one by one. And then for each record, what I do is, in this example, I say process categories from record. So it will iterate whatever instructions inside here. It will iterate over the categories. You can ask for all categories assigned to a record, or you can filter out. So here I added a filter that I only want the ones that start with dollar categories. And so you can decide yourself which categories you want to process. And as a result, you will get to the categories. And then you have the category object, and you can do whatever you like with it. Delete it, set some field values, get some field values, and everything that is available for from the actions. In this example, I'm picking up the category name just to output it in the log to show you that we've picked up these categories assigned to the record. Another way to get into categories is that you would search for them. Imagine that your file name, for instance, has a prefix which identifies the category that you want to assign. It's just an example. So what I could do is I could pick up the asset name, or the record name in this case, from the record. And then I would say, let's take the first three characters, and let's imagine that we would find categories that contain those first three characters. So then I'm using this instruction, process categories from collection, and I'm doing a category query on it, category search, and picking up that code, those first three letters that I stored in a text variable. Be careful with this instruction. There was a bug in Roboflow, and this instruction was only fixed in 10.2.1. So if you try to use it in a previous version, then it will return you an error message in the log saying that it cannot find that method. And so please be careful. If you need to use it, I can also provide you with a patch to test it. So here I do exactly the same thing. I'm storing the category name just to be able to output it in the log. So that's basically what this workflow does. If I now say start, then it will process first the records, and for each record it will then find the categories. So for instance, we had a record called this, and we said, okay, the assigned category under the dollar categories is full screen preview. And then the category name, another one that is assigned to it, is this category. Contact sheet Canto fact sheet is another category that is assigned to it. Then we were looking for the first three letters of the name, which is can in this case, from Canto fact sheet. And then it's getting us all kinds of categories which contain can. So you can see and then I could do something with it. And then we have the same here. Here to this category, we have a category assigned called multi-page TIFF. We have a category assigned called Canto Fact Sheet, and then we're looking for a category starting with PAG, which are the first 3 letters of the record name, and then it finds a category called multi-page TIFF. So you can see that either you can find the categories of a record assigned to it, or you can just find records based on a query. You can also get to a category if you know its ID. Imagine that you're reading the XML file from a trigger and you want to do something with it, then you can pick up the category ID from there, or you can create a category by path. So I can say here, imagine that I want to use a category, and I can say category here. Going to the categories here, and I can say store category. No, not category field. It says store category from an ID or from a path. So I'm going to say from a path. And so if I do that, I can say category variable of catalog to use is then this one, and then what is the category path you want to create, and then you can say slash, or you can say dollar categories slash test slash, and maybe we can see if that code that we picked up, if that exists. What is also interesting, and I'll show you in a second. So here I have a category by path, and then you can decide, do I want to create it if it does exist, or do I just want to fail, not store the object? So you have both options, either to create or to fail if it does not exist. Maybe you want it only assigned if the category exists. Maybe if somebody creates an illegal file name, you don't want to start creating categories based on that illegal file name. That could be the logic. So here you can either fail or not fail. You can also, if you have a category, one of the instructions that can be very useful is that you want to store the parent category or store the path of the category. So could be that can be useful to know where this category comes from, or if you want to store the parent category, you can go one step up if necessary. What is also available is processing the records of a category and processing the child categories or the subcategories. So there's lots you can do with categories, storing, getting them by path, etc., etc. So there's lots of ways to get to the category, and like with the vocabulary fields now, the values assigned to a category are in fact categories from the $vocabulary catalog. So you could also go and find out if this value already exists in your category. You could create a new category in the $categories catalog in a specific under a specific list. You can set the field of the content type, and so there's lots of possibilities using that for your automatically managed vocabulary fields. So thank you for joining this training movie. I hope this was helpful. Remember, this demo showed some instructions that are only fixed in 10.2.1. Most of them already work in 9.2 or more recent, but as I mentioned during the demo, there was an instruction that had a bug. Thank you for joining this training movie, and let me know if you have any questions.